My name was Amir Al-Hassan. I was a prosecutor in a vibrant Boston courtroom, a figure of authority clad in conservative attire, a proud defender of justice. To many, I represented the pinnacle of success, a Muslim man with a prestigious career, but within me, a fierce struggle brewed. I was respected, yet deeply unfulfilled. For years, I had obeyed my faith unquestioningly, but something crucial began to erode that foundation. In my quiet moments, I felt a void, a chilling disconnection from the very beliefs that had shaped my life. Then came the day that shattered everything I thought I knew. It began like any other, yet culminated in a moment of profound clarity. A collapse, a blackout in the courtroom. In that darkness, something extraordinary happened. Instead of an end, I found a beginning. I entered a coma, suspended between the realms of life and death. And there, in that spiritual wasteland, I encountered him, Jesus. The name held power, but it also stirred conflict in my heart. He spoke my name, and in that singular moment, the cosmos shifted. I was shown the intricate web of lies threaded through both faith and societal norms. I understood a battle raged not only in the earthly realms but within my very soul, challenging the traditions and expectations I had always upheld. The light of his presence pierced through my confusion, illuminating a truth that was both beautiful and terrifying. I realized that I was caught in a system that upheld conformity over the divine. Upon waking, I faced a stark reality. My beliefs had transformed, yet my community turned against me. Unlabeled a heretic, I grappled with guilt and fear, while secretly seeking understanding. Each discovery deepened my resolve to uncover the truth behind my experience. I turned to the scriptures I once dismissed, and, to my astonishment, found not just a new doctrine but a wellspring of hope. My heart was set ablaze with a desire for something greater. Now I'm on a mission. What began as a personal quest is now an invitation for others to join in the revelation of what lies beyond. I'll be sharing how one encounter changed the trajectory of my life, ultimately leading me to discover my purpose in a world desperately in need of spiritual truth. Before we dive deeper, I want to hear from you. Leave a comment below. Where are you watching from, and what time is it there? Your voices matter in this awakening. And if you love Jesus, or are searching for that truth, subscribe to Truth from Beyond. This journey is only beginning, and I promise you, the revelations ahead will transform everything you thought you knew. The scene set in a bustling Boston courthouse felt familiar, yet charged with a palpable tension. My name is Amir, and I'm a senior prosecutor with a commitment to the truth and justice that governs my professional life. But beneath that surface lies a conflict I've wrestled with for years, caught between the rigid expectations of my Muslim traditions and a growing sense of spiritual emptiness. The diversity encircling me in the courtroom only amplified my struggles, as I navigated a system deeply intertwined with societal norms that often feel constricting and oppressive. As I prepared to address the jury, I was engulfed by unexpressed doubts that bubbled beneath the surface of my resolve. Each time I attempted to articulate my case, I was reminded of how these legal constraints mirrored the cultural expectations placed upon me. My prayers at night had become routines, devoid of the connection I once cherished. Instead, I faced layers of deception that seemed to linger just out of sight, hidden agendas that orchestrated not only my life but the lives of everyone around me. I couldn't shake the feeling that there was a deeper truth waiting to be unveiled, a revelation that would shift my understanding of justice and faith. Then, in an unexpected moment of despair, everything changed. The dizzying sensation crashed over me like a wave, and I collapsed in the courtroom, slipping into unconsciousness. I found myself in an expansive darkness, a space devoid of time and worry, until that moment when a luminous figure appeared before me. Jesus, radiant and loving, stood there, and as he looked at me, I felt an overwhelming sense of peace. "Amir," he said, and those simple words ignited a spark of recognition deep within my soul. In that divine presence, I felt my doubts begin to dissolve, replaced by an urgent call to uncover the truth I had long sought. Through our encounter, Jesus revealed the intricacies of the deception woven throughout our society. I witnessed the hidden agenda of the elite, their manipulation of power, how they fostered division to maintain control over the masses. In that sacred moment, I realized how my life and career had unwittingly participated in this cycle of oppression. It was a confrontation with the spiritual war that had raged around me, a spiritual awakening that compelled me to seek justice not only in the courtroom but in the broader sense of life itself. The truth resonated within me, and I knew I could no longer remain silent or complicit. Awakening from the experience within the courthouse felt surreal, as if I had been thrust back into a reality I no longer recognized. I could feel the frantic pulse of the courtroom surrounding me, but the clarity of my encounter lingered prominently in my mind. The urgency of sharing my revelation pulsed through my veins as I took in the familiar faces of the jury and my colleagues. I understood that the path I had taken was now steeped in responsibility. I needed to advocate not just for the law, but for the deeper truths that underpin our existence. The fear of rejection from my community loomed large, but the divine message I had received was too profound to ignore, compelling me to seek the light, even if it meant walking a solitary path for a while. My name is Amir Al-Hassan, and I'm a 45-year-old respected prosecutor in Boston. I wear conservative attire and carry a stern demeanor, projecting an image of professionalism that I've honed over years in the legal field. Yet beneath this exterior lies an emotional emptiness that has taken root in my soul, one that has been cultivated through years of conforming to the weighty expectations of society and religion. My life has been defined by adherence to laws and customs that offer security but have left me feeling spiritually apathetic, trapped in a cycle that no longer resonates with who I am. Every day, I navigate the bustling environment of the courthouse, surrounded by the constant buzz of legal discussions and negotiations. Still, as I sit in the grand jury room, presiding over testimonies, a fog of discontent settles within me. I can feel the tension simmering under the surface. I'm struggling with a growing realization that my life's work is intertwined with a system steeped in deception. Each moment spent on the job leads me further into a labyrinth of conflicting ideals, where justice often dances on a knife's edge, dictated by the whims of those in power. As I play my role, the resolve to uphold what I believe in begins to crumble. Then, unexpectedly, everything shifted. During a particularly heated session, while examining a key witness, my vision blurred, and I felt my strength drain away. The room began to spin, the voices faded, and I collapsed. In that moment of collapse, I slipped into an exploration of unconsciousness. While the darkness enveloped me, I encountered a light so intense yet comforting. And there he was, Jesus. When he spoke my name, I felt as if all my doubts and pain were stripped away in an instant, replaced by a profound clarity that seemed to resonate within my very soul. Jesus guided me through a series of profound revelations, unmasking the hidden agendas that underpin our society. I witnessed how the elite manipulate truths, perpetuating a cycle of fear and deception that governs the masses. The spiritual war rages not only within myself but throughout the world, and I was shown the reality that binds us all together. I saw glimpses of how political systems exploit faith and tradition to maintain control, ensuring that many remain shackled by their beliefs rather than liberated by them. It was as if I were peeling back the layers of my own blindness, revealing a truth I had always feared to confront. When I awoke, the world felt different. The once familiar faces in the jury box appeared less like colleagues and more like players in an elaborate game designed to conceal deeper truths. I found myself grappling with the magnitude of what I had experienced. I could no longer remain silent about the revelations I had received. The emotional turmoil I had felt for so long began to morph into a powerful sense of purpose. I had been called to share my awakening, to illuminate the paths of others still entangled in their own struggles. But with that calling came the fear of rejection, the haunting possibility that the very community I had once cherished might now see me as a pariah. Regardless, something within me recognized the urgency of this mission, knowing that the truth must be voiced in a world desperate for awakening. During my prayers, I found myself grappling with an overwhelming sense of void and disconnection that became difficult to ignore. My name is Amir, and as a senior prosecutor in Boston, I had built a career around the principles of law and justice. Yet with each prayer, I sensed a deepening emptiness that contradicted the faith I thought I held dear. Questions began to swirl in my mind, challenging the validity of my beliefs, the role of my religion, and whether I had mistakenly placed my trust in a system that seemed more focused on control than genuine spiritual connection. These internal struggles transformed into disturbing dreams, each one more vivid than the last. I would often awaken in a cold sweat, the images burned into my consciousness like reality itself. In those dreams, I found myself wandering through shadowy corridors filled with echoes of doubt, surrounded by figures that whispered the very fears I had buried deep inside. It was as if these dreams were urging me to confront the uncomfortable truths that lay beneath the surface of my everyday existence, a call to awaken to the reality of a world fraught with deception. Then came the moment that would change everything. During one particularly intense night, I fell into a deep sleep, only to find myself thrust into darkness. It was neither frightening nor oppressive. Rather, it felt like a blanket of undefined possibility. Suddenly, I was captivated by a brilliant light, and there, standing in that radiant glow, was Jesus. When he spoke my name, I felt a rush of warmth wash over me, erasing all doubt and fear. His presence was both commanding and compassionate, drawing me in as he began to reveal profound truths about my life and the world around me. Jesus unveiled the hidden agendas that operate behind the scenes of our society, where the elite manipulate narratives to consolidate their power and further their own interests. I witnessed the ongoing spiritual war that permeates every aspect of life, a struggle fueled by ignorance and fear. He showed me how easily people are led astray, entrapped by a cycle of deception that fosters division and conflict rather than unity and understanding. In that moment, illumination sparked within me, an unwavering conviction that I could no longer remain silent about the realities I had encountered. As I awoke from this extraordinary experience, the weight of the revelations pressed heavily on my heart. I realized I had been given a sacred mission to share these truths and to guide those still lost in their struggles. The comfort of my previous life slipped away as I became acutely aware of the path I needed to take. It was clear. I was not just a prosecutor combating legal battles. I was now an advocate for spiritual awakening. The urgency of this mission burned brightly within me, and I felt compelled to lead others into the light of truth amid a world shrouded in deception. The journey was fraught with uncertainty, but the calling was undeniable, and with each step forward, I felt closer to fulfilling the purpose I was meant to embrace. Following an emotional collapse during a trial, I found myself plunged into darkness, a coma that would ultimately become the doorway to profound revelation. My name is Amir, and I've spent years dedicated to the law as a senior prosecutor in Boston, upholding justice in a system often riddled with complexity. Yet beneath that polished exterior, I had been wrestling with feelings of hollowness and doubt. It was during a particularly intense moment in court, enveloped by the weight of expectation, that I suddenly felt myself crashing to the floor. Little did I know, that fall would lead me into a spiritual journey unlike anything I could ever have imagined. In this experience, I entered a surreal spiritual desert, a vast landscape stripped of familiarities, a place where time seemed immaterial and clarity was palpable. In the emptiness, I felt a sense of peace wash over me, juxtaposed with the enveloping sensation of being utterly lost. Then, amidst the desolation, a brilliant light emerged, And in that light stood Jesus, radiating love and understanding. When he called my name, I felt an immediate connection, a profound recognition that transcended words. It was as if this was where I was meant to be all along, confronted by the embodiment of truth. As we stood together in that sacred space, Jesus revealed the hidden agendas that underpin both our religious systems and the social fabric of our lives. I was shown how easily people are led astray by deception, manipulated by the elite into division and conflict. The battle for souls, the spiritual war being waged, became vividly apparent. I witnessed leaders bending their knees to ambition, technological advancements twisted for control rather than liberation. It became clear that these forces were not merely external. They lived within the hearts of those too fearful to question the status quo or embrace their own spiritual awakening. Each revelation flooded my consciousness, tearing away the layers of illusion I had accepted for so long. I could feel the urgency of this mission resonate within me, an awakening that extended far beyond my individual experience. It was a call to challenge the very norms that had once defined my faith, urging me to convey these truths to those still caught in their own spiritual struggles. The realization that I had a role to play in dismantling these deceptions filled me with both excitement and apprehension. What would my family think? Would my community embrace me or shun me for taking this stand? As I came back to consciousness after that transformative encounter, the urgency of sharing the profound truths I had received consumed my thoughts. The overwhelming need to advocate for awakening filled my heart, a determination to shine a light on the hidden agendas operating around us. I knew from that moment that I could no longer remain silent or complicit in the deception I had witnessed. My journey was just beginning, and with every step I took toward spreading the truth, I felt myself venturing deeper into the spiritual war, ready to confront the challenges that lay ahead and empower others to join in the awakening. Upon waking from my life-altering experience, I was immediately confronted with an overwhelming sense of rejection. My name is Amir, and I once held the esteemed position of a senior prosecutor in Boston. In my community, I was well respected, a model of the values we cherished. Yet now, having encountered Jesus in a moment of divine revelation, my world felt irreversibly altered, and I found myself labeled a heretic by those I once held dear. The whispers of disapproval escalated into a deafening chorus, pressing heavily on my heart. The emotional turmoil that followed was suffocating. I felt the weight of guilt and fear tugging at the edges of my spirit, urging me to question everything I thought I knew. How could I maintain my place within a community that so fervently clung to tradition while I dared to step into the unknown? I began to wrestle with my beliefs, caught between the teachings of my upbringing and the burning desire to embrace the truth I had discovered. I knew I had to seek deeper understanding, yet trepidation haunted my every step. In the secrecy of my room, I turned to the Bible, poring over the passages that now seemed to pulse with life. Each word felt like a lifeline, a connection to the profound truths Jesus had imparted to me. I sought to understand not only his life but the purpose behind his message. The revelations I had witnessed unveiled the hidden agendas of the elite, showing me how they manipulate the beliefs of the many to maintain control. It was a painful realization, one that awakened a righteous anger within me. I could not remain silent as I saw how deception shaped the very fabric of our society. As I delved deeper, the tension grew within my heart. I read countless testimonies of others who had experienced their own awakenings, each story lighting a spark of hope. But with every revelation came the bitter reminder of the division one faced in my own life. My family, my community, they were everything I had known, yet I felt as if I were slipping further away from them. The fear of losing that connection collided violently with the conviction that I was called to share the truth, even at great personal cost. Despite the fear of isolation looming over me like a dark cloud, I felt the urge to reach out and connect with those who shared my struggle. I sought out groups, both online and in person, where I could explore these spiritual conflicts without judgment. Together, we navigated the complexities of faith and community, each discussion unveiling more layers of the truth. Jesus called out to us, inviting us into a deeper understanding of love, compassion, and unity amidst the spiritual war we were all fighting. Every meeting became a step toward awakening, a sign that the light of truth was breaking through the darkness, illuminating a path I had to walk, regardless of the consequences that awaited me. After my encounter with Jesus during that life-changing moment in the grand jury, I realized I couldn't ignore the spiritual awakening that was unfolding within me. My name is Amir, and as a senior prosecutor in Boston, I had always adhered to a rigorous interpretation of my beliefs, yet I found myself drawn to explore the Bible more deeply. The initial hesitation I felt soon transformed into a thirst for understanding. As I began to read the scriptures, I was struck by how alive the words felt, each verse resonating with revelations that challenged my previous interpretations of faith and truth. I spent many nights leafing through passages, feeling compelled to uncover the depths of the messages they held. I soon ventured onto online platforms, where I immersed myself in the testimonies of others who had faced similar conversions. Listening to their stories, I recognized common threads: struggles with doubt, the burden of expectation, and the touching moments of awakening as they embraced Jesus' love. Their journeys were not just stories. They were lifelines that offered hope and clarity, encouraging me to push past my fears and limitations. It was then that I discovered a small group of Christians who gathered weekly to discuss faith and spirituality. Meeting them was like stepping into a safe harbor amid a tumultuous sea. In this space, I felt the freedom to share my doubts without fear of judgment. I was embraced by their support, and together we navigated the complexities of belief and spiritual war. The conversations were rich, filled with candor and warmth, and as we delved into various interpretations of Scripture, I found my own understanding deepening. During our meetings, we often prayed together, and I discovered the transformative power of authentic prayer. It became a conduit for my thoughts and feelings, a way to connect with Jesus not just as a distant figure, but as a personal presence in my life. This new practice offered an intriguing contrast to the rigid rituals I had previously endured. The realization that prayer could be spontaneous and intimate began to dissolve the barriers I had erected between my heart and my spirit. It filled the void I had experienced for so long, replacing emptiness with a genuine sense of belonging and purpose. However, even as I thrived in this newfound environment, the shadows of doubt still lurked in my mind. The fear of losing my family and community haunted me, leaving me torn between celebrating my awakening and grappling with the personal cost. Would they ever understand? Would they accept the path I had chosen? Despite these uncertainties, I felt a growing resolve to embrace my calling. I knew that the truth was worth pursuing, even in the face of adversity. With each sharing, each moment of connection, I was not merely witnessing an awakening, but participating in a movement, one that aimed not just to uncover deception, but to foster a community built on love and shared truth. The urgency of this mission propelled me forward, preparing me for whatever challenges lay ahead in my spiritual journey. After a series of contemplative discussions and intense prayers, I finally made the decision to undergo a secret baptism. My name is Amir, and as a senior prosecutor, my life revolved around the law. Yet I had been awakened to a truth that transcended the confines of convention. This moment felt profound, unlike any ritual I had previously experienced. I emerged from the water feeling a deep sense of regeneration within my soul. What struck me most was how this act of faith ignited a new passion to share spirituality and truth, not just for myself but for those around me. In the days leading up to my baptism, I had wrestled with overwhelming emotions. The spiritual war one was now acutely aware of left me feeling torn between my old life and the radical new path laid before me by Jesus' teachings. I had seen firsthand how the elite manipulate societal narratives, weaving their hidden agendas through the very systems that govern our lives. I understood that my role as a prosecutor had unwittingly contributed to those deceptions, perpetuating a status quo that stifled true justice and understanding. Yet within my heart, the revelations I had received compassed a light I could not ignore, a voice urging me to become a vessel for change. The moment of baptism was nothing short of transformative. As I surfaced from the water, I felt the weight of my past slip away, replaced by a clarity and purpose that filled me with determination. My thoughts immediately turned to those still trapped in the cycles of fear and deception I had once known. The urgency to share not just my story but the broader truths about our spiritual reality surged within me. I wanted others to experience the awakening I had, an awakening that held the power to challenge the very foundations of their beliefs and introduce them to the love and acceptance found in Jesus. In the following weeks, I began to outreach covertly, drawing from both my experience in the legal field and my spiritual journey. I met with individuals willing to explore these topics, people yearning for a deeper connection to their faith amidst a world filled with confusion. Together, we created a safe space to discuss not only spirituality but the urgent implications of the hidden agendas around us. Our gatherings became a sanctuary for open dialogue, filled with stories of personal struggle and the hope that there was more to life than we had been led to believe. However, the dichotomy between my evolving faith and my previous life weighed heavily on me. I felt the fear of rejection from my family and community lurking in the shadows, a nagging reminder of what I stood to lose by embracing this new truth. Yet, with each conversation I had, the resolve to stand firm against such fears grew stronger. I realized that the truth I now carried was a gift to be shared, one that could spark awakening in the hearts of others. It became clear that this journey was not merely personal. It was a collective movement toward liberation, challenging the deceptions that attempt to bind us. With every step I took, I was aware that the stakes were high, but the power of awakening was a chance I was willing to take. Following my transformation, I felt an undeniable calling to witness my newfound beliefs, a mission that I understood came with considerable risks. My name is Amir, and as a senior prosecutor in Boston, I had spent years building my career on foundations that now seemed flawed. The spiritual war that once seemed abstract became a visceral reality within me. I was not just wrestling with my faith, but with a profound sense of purpose that pushed me to confront the silence and complacency I had lived within for far too long. As I stepped into this new chapter of my life, I began to feel the oppressive weight of fear tugging at me. Would my family accept this change? What would my colleagues think? In my heart, I knew that the truth I had encountered, the revelation given to me by Jesus, was too powerful to keep quiet. I remembered my encounter vividly, the light that enveloped me, the love that surged through my being, and the understanding that I was called to something greater. It was a metamorphosis that ignited a desire to share this awakening with every soul still lost in the darkness. However, my commitment to this mission stirred an internal battle. I began to witness the consequences of speaking out and challenging the norms I had adhered to for so long. The repercussions were swift. I became an outcast in the eyes of many I once considered friends. Whispers of betrayal echoed in hallways and social gatherings. Yet even amid the isolation, there was a clarity that came from embracing my truth. Jesus had shown me the hidden agendas woven into the fabric of our societal structures, how the elite manipulate fear to maintain control over the masses. The gravity of that insight propelled me to engage in discussions that would reignite the spiritual war and highlight the urgent need for awakening. In sharing my journey with others, I discovered fellow seekers who were also grappling with similar dilemmas. These connections became a lifeline, a reminder of the potency of community as we navigated the complexities of faith and identity. Together, we engaged in deep conversations about the challenges of our time, wars that are fought not just with weapons, but with ideologies that divide us. The revelations we exchanged sparked a fire within us, a resolve to combat the deception that kept so many shackled. We knew that each of our stories held the power to effect change, to inspire others to question the systems that had long dictated their lives. As my mission unfolded, I realized the importance of not only sharing my truths, but also embracing those who were still searching for their own. This journey was about awakening, a call to arms to reclaim our lives from the spiritual war that permeated every aspect of our existence. The path ahead was fraught with uncertainty, but each step I took strengthened my commitment to this cause. I was no longer just Amir the prosecutor. I was Amir the witness, the messenger of truth, eager to shine a light on the hidden realities that bind us all, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead in this quest for genuine liberation. In a bold act of courage, I made the decision to leave my previous life behind, a choice that felt both liberating and terrifying. My name is Amir, and as a senior prosecutor in Boston, my existence had revolved around the pursuit of justice within the framework of the law. But after my encounter with Jesus during a life-altering moment, I realized I could no longer live in accordance with the expectations that had shackled my spirit. The layers of deception I had witnessed in the legal world suddenly became unbearable, compelling me to seek a new environment where I could freely explore my faith and share my journey of spiritual freedom. The transition wasn't easy. Stepping away from a life defined by rigid traditions and professional accolades left me feeling adrift, but an intoxicating sense of awakening fueled my resolve. I sought communities where I could practice my faith openly, unburdened by the fear of judgment. Finding like-minded individuals who had also begun to question the hidden agenda perpetuated by the elite made me feel less alone. We shared our stories, weaving a tapestry of experiences that reflected our collective yearning for truth amid a world rife with deception. Each conversation reinforced the notion that we were not just individuals seeking personal liberation. We were participants in a larger spiritual war that demanded our active engagement. As I settled into this new life, I took my experiences and turned them into a mission. I began to engage actively with others, sharing the truth I had encountered. Each meeting became a sacred opportunity to plant the seeds of my evangelistic mission, nurturing the idea that awakening to one's spiritual truth could lead not only to personal freedom, but to collective healing. The urgency of this message was palpable. We were not merely discussing spirituality, but fighting against the very structures that sought to constrain our beliefs and identities. The stories of those around me echoed the same sentiments, struggles against societal expectations that had left so many feeling spiritually empty. However, the fear of rejection from my family and community lingered heavily on my heart. I often imagined their expressions if they ever discovered the depths of my transformation. What would they say if they knew I had turned my back on the very teachings they had instilled in me? The apprehension was a constant shadow, yet it served as a catalyst for my mission. With each courageous step I took to share my journey, I felt I was not only healing myself but also paving a way for those still enshrouded in darkness. My dedication became a driving force, compelling me to confront the uncomfortable conversations about faith and truth that society seems so desperate to avoid. The experience of being reborn into faith has become a journey I embrace wholeheartedly, even amidst uncertainty. I recognize that change and forgiveness are integral components of transformation, and I was ready to seek reconciliation with those I had distanced myself from. Jesus had shown me that the path to awakening does not come without sacrifice, but it is those sacrifices that lead to profound growth. I committed myself to carry this message forward, to illuminate the shadows for others still trapped in fear, reminding them that the truth of our spiritual existence can shatter the barriers that divide us. The mission was clear. The need for awakening was urgent, and with every word I shared, I felt the weight of responsibility to guide others toward the light. Years later, I found myself thriving in a new community, one that has welcomed me with open arms. My name is Amir, and since embracing my faith and shedding the constraints of my past, I've dedicated myself to sharing the profound truths I've uncovered. In this environment, I give speeches on faith and spiritual freedom, recounting the transformative power of my encounter with Jesus and my subsequent awakening. My journey, marked by shadows of doubt and moments of fear, has become a source of inspiration for many searching for their paths amidst the chaos of a world rife with manipulation and deception. Reflecting on the impact of my testimony, I'm continually amazed at how deeply it resonates with others. Many have approached me after my talks, sharing their own struggles with faith and conformity. They too have felt the weight of societal expectations pressing down on them, battling against the spiritual war that seeks to keep us complacent. In those moments, I see the flicker of hope igniting in their eyes as they realize they are not alone in their quest for truth. Witnessing their awakening is a profound and humbling experience, reinforcing the notion that my journey has a purpose beyond just my own redemption. I recall standing in front of an audience recently, speaking passionately about the hidden agendas that shape our reality, the manipulation by the elite that fosters division and keeps the masses in ignorance. I could feel the tension in the room as people leaned in, eager to absorb the messages I delivered. As I spoke about the deceptive nature of our political and social systems, I wove in my personal story of transformation. Each revelation I shared not only illuminated my own path, but also served as a beacon for others to confront their fears and question the narratives they had been fed. The atmosphere buzzed with urgency as we collectively acknowledged the challenges we face. Yet amidst this newfound mission, the longing for reconciliation with my family lingers. I often think of the faces I've left behind. My heart aches to bridge the gap, but the journey to acceptance is fraught with uncertainty. Will they ever understand the profound changes I've undergone? Can I hope for their forgiveness for not adhering to the beliefs we once shared? As I engage with others who are awakening, I find myself torn between inspiring them and grappling with my own unresolved feelings. I pray that, one day, I can bring them into this light, showcasing not only the power of faith, but also the love and acceptance that I have found. Every day is a testament to the transformative power of Christ and the journey I've embraced. While there are still shadows of doubt that creep into my mind, I now recognize them for what they are, remnants of a former life that sought to control rather than liberate. As I continue to gather with others who seek truth, I'm reminded that our stories are woven together by a common thread, the quest for genuine connection and spiritual freedom. Together, we fight the spiritual war, challenging the deceptions that have bound us for far too long. The mission ahead is clear, and every step I take allows me to carve out a pathway, one illuminated by the truth I've discovered, ready to inspire others to embark on their journeys of awakening. Now that you've journeyed with me through the layers of my story, I want to leave you with a question that echoes in the deepest corners of your heart. Have you ever felt an undeniable call to question the very beliefs that have shaped your life? A stirring in your soul that urges you to seek truth, even if it means walking a path that could lead to rejection? You are not alone in this struggle. There's a spiritual war waging around us, a battle for enlightenment, clarity, and liberation from the chains of deception. I emerged from that coma awakened to a truth so profound, it transformed my understanding of existence. What I encountered, the love and clarity brought forth by Jesus, was not just meant for me, it's a message intended for all of us. In this world full of distractions, it's so easy to slip back into complacency. But I urge you to resist. Dig deep and listen to that call. What are the lies that have kept you shackled? What truths are just beneath the surface, waiting for you to uncover them? Your experiences matter to us. Share them in the comments below. Are you feeling a spiritual awakening? Have you struggled with your beliefs or felt the pressure to conform? I read every comment, and I want to connect with you. Together, we can forge a community that embraces truth in all its forms. If this story has ignited something within you, don't forget to subscribe to Truth from Beyond and tap the notification bell. Your subscription isn't just a click. It's a commitment to embark on this journey with us as we continue to unveil deeper truths and explore what lies beyond the surface of our understanding. In our next video, we will dive into another powerful testimony, one that explores how faith can transform despair into purpose in unimaginable ways. Thank you for being here with me, for embracing this conversation about awakening. I'm Amir, and remember, the quest for truth is a journey we all must embrace. Until next time, keep seeking, keep questioning, and keep your heart open to the possibilities that lie ahead.